Our next keynote is Agentic AI and MCPs, building scalable and autonomous systems in ASEAN. So I'd like to welcome our speaker from ALPHV Technologies, Daren Tan, the founder, to kindly begin his presentation. Daren.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start off today's presentation with illustration. So, I saw a social media post a couple of weeks ago that sort of struck a chord in me. And this is the post. So what is this graph about? Let me walk you through it. There's been a trend in office constructions, a change in trend in the US office construction, where after when ChatGPT launched, it sort of went down. And this coincided also with the US data center construction spending. As you can see, after the ChatGPT was launched, it has changed in trajectory for both of these stats. And now let's take a look, shift the attention over to the left side, where we will have a very familiar graph between the breeding of horses versus the invention of cars, the adoption of cars. These two graphs draws a very eerie similarity. Okay, so there's a switch in trend here. What does this mean? If we were to go back to the graph of the construction, the trend is moving towards constructing more offices, which is data centers for the AIs than offices for humans. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what the world is moving on today, where we are no longer the horses. Instead, it will be your brain that will be replaced. Okay? So here's a simple solution. If you can't beat them, join them. The entire nation, everyone here today, has to utilize Agentic AI. We start by accepting a simple but brutal truth. The truth about the world that we are entering. That you are either the person who tells AI what to do, or you are the one being replaced by it. Therefore, our mission must be twofold. First, we must commit to a nation of AI pilots, which is every one of you here. A workforce that commands the technology and not be consumed by it. And second, we must give these pilots, you guys, the right target to solve. We must stop pointing this incredible power called AI at trivial things and point them squarely at the hardest problem we solve in this nation. Example, untangling the traffic on Federal Highway. Did you guys face jam this morning? How many of you faced jam this morning? Almost everyone in the hall, okay? So point AI at solving this kind of problem. The next one would be, example, delivering expert diagnostics to the rural areas in Sarawak, right? Instead of sending humans away from their family into the jungle to treat, in the rural areas to treat patients, we could send an AI there instead. And next, we would be building a stronger and more resilient country. That's how we ensure we are in charge, we are the pilots and not the horses. So, where does ASEAN fit in this region? Okay, where does ASEAN fit in this AI race? Are we building the cars or are we the horses being led into the green pastures? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the question that I will be sharing and provide insights to today. So a bit of introduction about myself. My name is Daren Tan. I'm the CEO of Alpha Technologies. By profession, I'm a full-stack tech generalist and a data scientist. I'm also the founder of Developer Kaki. How many of you here are here today? Developer Kaki is where you're at? All right, half the audience. Very good. For those of you who are not yet of Developer Kaki, please do join the Facebook group. We have 60,000 very active developers there. So, moving on to the topic of today. Across ASEAN, AI is $1 trillion swing factor. $1 trillion, ladies and gentlemen. Studies have shown that AI could lift the GDP by roughly $835 billion to $1 trillion. which is about 10 to 18% jump by 2030, and that's only 5 years from now. And with that comes huge opportunity, and here's what it looks like. Firstly, there's an explosion in digital demand, which is undeniable. Southeast Asia's online economy keeps on compounding, and AI takes the lead and helps to shorten time to value for the digital services. And next, Malaysia alone could capture 113 to 115 billion US dollars in extra GDP if we are able to capture the market quickly. Investors these days vote with cash. You can see proven results of this by seeing the multi-billion cloud and data center deals from Google to hyperscalers that are landing here in Malaysia to fuel that growth. So the upside is here. It's very evident. But let's look at the big picture. With the right person, with the right tools to come in, we will be able to capture the upside. Despite the high upside, the ASEAN AI landscape is very fragmented. Okay, let me show you why. Number one, policy gaps. The policy gaps and uneven data standards across different countries are posing a barrier to entry for people to adopt AI that operates between the countries. Secondly, readiness scores range from world-class countries like Singapore to still emerging markets in CLMV markets. And many firms, many companies never graduate beyond pilot projects, and that leaves a lot of value on the table to be extracted. We don't have to play the same games. Ladies and gentlemen, if we stay on this path, we won't get one ASEAN boom, okay? If we do not integrate between the countries and work together as ASEAN, we will not get one AI boom. What we will get is 10 AI islands, each too small to compete on the regional needle. So what's our move? So here's my proposal to solve this paradox. We don't have to choose between importing black box model that's made outside of Asia or building giant LLMs from scratch. ASEAN's competitive edge is on the third path. We should be instead focusing our effort on building AI that is sovereign, that is rooted in local values, local cultures, and local data sets. AI that is interoperable between every province, agency, and startups that can plug in straight away without starting over. Achieving on that vision hinges on two things. Number one is to give AI economy the autonomy to act, and another is to give context to act responsibly. And that brings us to today's topic, Agentic AI and MCPs. So, I want you to imagine that today, you guys are planning a birthday party for your nephew. Traditionally, what this will look like is that you need to open 10 browsers to compare venues. You need to text your friend one by one, your best friends one by one to check if they're free. You need to call multiple bakeries to compare, to find the cake your child likes and order the cake. You write a checklist for decorations, food, music, and logistics. You double check everything, okay? Double check everything, closer to the date, or the dietary restrictions of the guests, the transport, and every single one of these steps will drain you because it requires you to think, to decide, and to follow up. In this model, there is no AI. You are the central brain coordinating dozens of these moving parts, and you are the agent. So, now let's imagine a different world. Rather than you doing all 12 of those steps, what if you could just prompt an agent? Okay, it's not just prompting a ChatGPT that returns you the text result, but prompting an agent that can return you results in the real world. Imagine you can say, plan a birthday party for my child next Saturday with 20 of my best friends, preferably outdoors. Make it fun, make it affordable, and make it allergy-free. So next, what happens is an AI agent will then take over and autonomously search all of the best venues based on your preferences and even include weather forecast results to find you the best outdoor venue. It will then check your calendar and also your best friend's calendar. It will know who are your best friends based on your chat history. It will then book the space, order the cake, not free because it knows your friends might be allergy, arranges the catering, calls up the catering agent, sends out personalized invites, and even create a playlist of your favorite music. Throughout the process, it only loops you in once, which is a decision when it requires a decision made from your input. And it will learn your preference to be remembered for the next time. So you see, you have gone from micromanaging each task to simply expressing a goal. This is a promise of Agentic AI, a system that can understand high-level goals, decomposes them into subtasks, and takes initiatives on your behalf. It interacts with tools and people and adapts as needed without needing you to micromanage at all. Okay, but here's the catch. How in the world does these agents know how to book a venue, how to book a cake, or even to send an email? These agents need a framework. And what is that framework? Okay, the framework represents a way of what goals, what tools are available, and what has been done, the context and the memory, and what to do next, the planning. That's the integration challenge that many of the AI pilots today face, and why many ASEAN initiatives stall. Before MCPs, we had a system where when every new agent is created, it needs to be integrated to all those new tools, which means that if you were to imagine every agent as N and every data source or tools as M, if you have 5 agents and 5 of those tools, you will need to do 25 integrations. 25 custom integrations, ladies and gentlemen. That is a lot of work. And that is what's stalling a lot of the ASEAN initiative, which is why many pilots never cross to production, slow delivery, and also a lot of security audits to take care of. But with MCP, you will create an open standards for connecting AI assistants where data lives. So you need one MCP to connect with all of these different tools and connect any LLM to it. So let me share a bit for those who are technical or semi-technical in the audience. Do bear with me. So here's a problem what we want to solve before MCP and with MCP. So example, if you were to create a new agent today, how do you onboard them? In the traditional setup, you will need a custom integration of one adapter per tool. But with the MCP architecture, Model Context Protocol, you only need to add one agent through this MCP, and it will be able to connect anywhere to any data sources from any companies. Next, if you were to add a new tool, previously it would be one tool used by only one agent. With MCP, it will expose that tool to be used by all different agents from all different countries, from all different companies. Next, in terms of maintenance, MCP makes it really easy to maintain your agents, because rather than relying on many fragile broken connectors, you can then just use one MCP interface per tool. In terms of security, as I mentioned, AI comes with a security risk. So by having MCP, you'll be able to just have a single point of entry per tool. And in terms of upgrade, it is very simple. Just swap in the tool, swap in the data source without rewiring anything. So think of USB-C, think of this MCP as your USB-C, which you can plug to any devices today. As you can imagine, this approach is very crucial as the time to market shrinks from months of development to just days of plugging in and mapping. We also get to spend less in making sure the security is tamper-proof, and also be able to future-proof as future model releases. We don't need to rebuild this connector for every future model that gets released. So if Agentic AI is the brain, okay? If Agentic AI is the brain, MCP is like the spinal cord behind you that connects your brain to the highway that is your body to emphasize action. MCP will also solve the NXM integration gridlock, where it requires you to maintain 25 different tools to only maintaining one. With that foundation in place, every business in ASEAN will be able to plug in once and move more fast. That's how you turn individual 9 to 10 countries in ASEAN into one scale-ready, context-aware sovereign AI systems. So, Why should we care about sovereign AI? Everyone just thinks of building their own AI. Everyone thinks about building the most powerful AI. But what is the importance of sovereign AI? So let me just break it down into three different personas. For the nation, for businesses, and for individuals. So the first one would be the sovereign AI in interest of a nation. Let me tell you how important it is to have sovereign AI. Okay? So first is national security. That has been long emphasized, right? But the implication, imagine this implication. If today there were no sovereign LLMs in Malaysia, the implications would be using a foreign controlled agentic AI to manage our power grids, our water supply, and our financial market. The risk posed here is simply unacceptable because having sovereignty over our critical national infrastructure is a foundational requirement to have a secure, independent state. Next is the economic resilience. Being dependent on a foreign AI platform is very bad. Imagine suddenly there's a trade dispute, tariff, triple the cost of that AI service of our entire nation. A sovereign architecture serves as a vital buffer, shielding our economy from all these external shocks that are beyond our control. And the second value here is actually without our own systems, we are risking the outflow of value, the outflow of spending. Rather than the citizens or the users of AI spending money in Malaysia, they are now paying a foreign country to flowing our money out to use their services. Okay? So next, third one, national and cultural infrastructure. So here is an interesting one because imagine this. If we were to use agentic AI that's foreign in our education, the AI used to grade the essays would penalize students for referencing a pantun, peribahasa, or even local historical figures because that foreign AI does not recognize the context of our culture while rewarding references to the Western culture. So which is why there's an imbalance here. So next, for companies today, why you should adopt sovereign AI is because of the intellectual property. So imagine today that your data, your sales data that you are pushing out to the cloud, your proprietary data could be used to train a global model. Your unique sales data from Klang Valley could be used to sharpen a competitor's global data and effectively giving them your data for free. A sovereign architecture gives you a way to innovate with data without worrying about that. Next is also the AI vendor lock-in. I'm sure we've all been part of that. Imagine we subscribe, I won't name companies, but we paid subscription for a year in advance and suddenly the quota changes. A lot of that happened recently, right? So many of us experience this. We commit to a single provider and we are locked in. So with your own sovereign AI, you'll be able to switch your provider between different workloads without rebuilding everything. And that gives you the leverage back in your hands. And lastly, having a local hyper-competitive edge would be great because having a sovereign AI would give you context that is in-depth about Malaysia that other AIs don't have. Okay, and all this will be very important for the government to play a role to help us to pave a way for this sovereign AI to take effect. We understand why it matters. So now let's take a look why that in a global landscape, it is important to think that power is measured solely by who builds the biggest model. That is not true. In ASEAN region, among the 10 countries, we have an important role to play. That is because our culture is incredibly diverse between the countries. We are here today, we can work together and build a better AI compared to the rest of the world. And how we can do this? The government's role in this is to help become the architect. It will help us to create the sovereign AI by setting directions through three levers, which is smart regulation, AI national technical standards, and building diplomacy with the regional counterparts. And then, as the enabler, government can help us to fill through three high-value assets such as national data, foundational research, support the foundational research, and also to fund national education towards this direction. And let me skip, due to the concern of time, to the end. So in ASEAN, we have a very special path and role to play. I want to take us back to the beginning. Where does ASEAN fit in this AI race? We don't need to follow others' footsteps. We will chart our new path. One that is sovereign, one that's scalable, and one that's deeply rooted in our unique local ASEAN values and needs. We've seen what is at stake. There's trillions of revenue in US dollars to be unlocked to uplift the region. But without interoperability, without sovereignty, and without shared standards, we risk to fall behind in this race. We will become 10 disconnected islands if we do not work together. And Agentic AI gives us an engine, while the Model Context Protocol gives us the road that connects the engine to every tool, every data set, and every business in the region. With these tools, it is undoubted that we can build momentum in becoming a global leader in building scalable and sovereign AI. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's build the future together. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to connect with you guys.